This video is brought to you by Manscaped.com, the global men's lifestyle brand that has the right tools for all the dads this year. Except mine, because he left. Meet the Handyman, designed for the dad who can fix anything except his unruly facial hair. If your dad is looking for a closer and smoother finish, then the Handyman Face Shaver is the perfect tool for him. It's the ultimate compact shaver that is designed for precision and convenience. It also features skin-safe technology designed to help reduce nicks and cuts. The Handyman is waterproof and can be rinsed off in the sink, so cleanup is a breeze for your dad. The Handyman is compact and has a rechargeable battery that allows you to take it with you wherever you travel. For those dads who are starting to show a little too much ear and nose hair, the Weed Whacker 2.0 nose and ear hair trimmer is a great gift. With the powerful 7,000 RPM motor and a 360-degree, ditch the boring coffee mug for Father's Day and gift dad with Manscaped and watch his grooming game go from caveman to gentleman. Because every dad deserves the right tools for the job. Head over to manscaped.com and get 20% off free international shipping when you use my promo code Garfield at checkout. So today I'm going to go over 30 tips and tricks that I think every Rainbow Six Siege player needs to know. Some of this might be common knowledge to some people, but I think out of every single thing I go over, I feel like you'll learn at least one thing, even as an experienced Rainbow Six Siege player. Let's just get right into it. Here's some settings you're going to want to turn off or on PC. I'll be doing console next, so just skip to that if you don't have a PC. Right off the bat, you're going to want to turn on visible throw trajectory. Make sure diffuser pickup is on both. The reason why it's both is because when you pick up the diffuser, it automatically or manual is needed. So you can run over it or you can look at it and then press a button. I personally just find that's the best. Drone after prep, I have it on manual. I would highly suggest this as well. You can remain in your cams as an attacker unless all the attacking drones are destroyed. So if your teammate's asking you to get on the pre-placed drone, you can actually stay on it after the prep phase. Match replay on, just so you can go back and maybe critique yourself if needed. HUD is all personal preference. Audio, it needs to be on hi-fi. An audio engineer broke down and compared all three different sounds, and he came to the conclusion that hi-fi is the best. So if you want to watch that video and it's more in-depth, link is down in the description. In terms of display, just make sure that you're on the proper monitor and the proper resolution. I have a 1440 monitor and it's 240 hertz, so I have both of them on this. Now, the reason why I use mine on borderless is so I can swap in between monitors without having to completely tab out. For some reason, with the Elgato that I use, sometimes if I'm on full screen and I tab out, it'll take super long and sometimes my screen will even freeze. Aspect ratio is all personal preference. I prefer 3:2. If you like a good old-fashioned normal, 16:10 is a good in-between between, you know, a stretch res and a normal 16:9 res. It's just a tiny bit stretched, but if you want something a little bit more stretched, 3:2 is definitely the wave. VSync is off. VSync is awful on PC, on Rainbow Six Siege at least, so I have it off. If you have like a low-end PC or just a mid and you want the most FPS, I would suggest putting everything on low at first and then go through all of your settings. Go to shadow, make sure shadow is very high. I like to have shading on medium, reflection quality on high. These two being the highest is very important, so you're actually able to see shadows and, you know, just the quality overall. VFX, you're going to want to turn it on low. Ambient off, lens off, zoom in off. Basically everything off is what I use. Now, between all of these, I have TAA on, and then I have my sharpness all the way up to 100, and then I leave rendering scaling on 50. Controls, the only thing I want to say about controls, guys, is if you're using M&K on PC, just make sure that you never use any movement keys on your mouse. So, for example, if you're leaning with your mouse buttons, stop doing that. That is horrendous, and it's actually going to hinder your aim more than anything, because you're having to lift your thumb from supporting the left side of the mouse to pressing buttons to lean. You're not going to be consistent. You're not going to be a great aimer. You're really nerfing yourself. So that's one thing I want to say. Same with crouch. You don't want to be crouching with your mouse buttons. So just keep that in mind. Sensitivity is all personal preference. Same with ADS sense. So keep that in mind as well. Heading over to privacy, this is all personal preference. And then accessibility, I have my opacity on 40. The reason why I have it on 40 is so I'm actually able to see an enemy if they go in my line of sight. I feel like when you have it on 100, it's super, super bad because you won't be able to see them and you're kind of just guessing where their head's at. So I found that 40 is a good sweet spot. Make sure you turn off screen shake intensity. This is really default, but a lot of people for some reason forget to turn this off. Now I'm going to give you guys the sauce for NVIDIA. So if you have a NVIDIA GPU, first thing I want you to go to your change resolution. Just look up, go to your refresh rate. Usually you don't want to use native, and make sure you're on the highest refresh rate possible. For some of you guys, it might be 120 hertz, might be 144, might be 240, might be 360, etc. Doesn't really matter. Next, this is where the vibrant colors come into play. Now this does take a little bit of your FPS. So if you're really counting every FPS that matters, you might need to, not do this or just test it out. But digital vibrance down here, you have to go all the way up to 80. Now that's where I found the sweet spot to be, but I see a lot of people going to all the way to 100. Personally, I think 80 is just a perfect balance. And basically what that does is that allows you to have more vibrant colors, and I find it's just easier to see people when you do so. Now in terms of the adjust image settings with preview, I have mine on performance because I want my PC to perform the best way possible. But as you can tell, you will have these like rigid edges, so you might see that on some operators, but if you turn it all the way up, it's very smooth. I don't think it really matters. I just think you want to get the most FPS possible. So I just have mine on performance and I want my GPU just to be fine. Now, I'm not going to go over every single one of these settings, global settings, but if you do want to copy them as well, this is also for proper FPS. So that's what it's optimized for. If you just want to, pause the video, go ahead and put it in. But yeah, this is optimized just for the most FPS possible. Now for console, here's some settings that I use. I make sure to have diffuser pick up on both. So basically what will happen is you can either like touch the diffuser and you'll pick it up, or you can look at it and press a button and pick it up. I found that this is most useful, especially in scenarios where you're having to keep your gun up, but pick up the diffuser. Drone after prep is manual. The reason why you want to have this on is because say your teammate asks for you to get on a cam and you are in the prep phase, but then the prep phase ends and it'll basically kick you off if you don't have it on manual. So having it on manual will like give you the decision whether or not to stay on a cam or not, and that's just good for pre-place and just for information in general. HUD is all personal preference. Audio is going to be night mode. Night mode for some reason is better on console. PC, it's going to be hi-fi, but no idea why that is. Console audio is awful. Heading over to my FOV, I do use 84 FOV, and make sure you have prioritized performance on. If you guys have a new gen console, like for example the X or even S or the PS5, and you guys are using prioritized resolution, you guys will be at 60 FPS. Your game will literally feel like it's stuttering, and you're not taking advantage of your FPS. Now, if you put it on prioritized performance, then you're actually taking advantage of the 120 FPS. Now, you guys do need at least 120 hertz monitor. So whatever the FPS minimum is, or like maximum, that's usually what you're going to want, right? So on console, it's 120 FPS. So you're going to want a 120. My brightness is 68. Controls, all of this is personal preference in my opinion, but here's what I go with. So vibration is on disabled, gadget deployments on advanced, and drone deployments on advanced. So you literally will have to throw your drono and get on it, instead of you just throwing it and it automatically makes you go on it. In terms of gadget deployment, if you have it on standard, you'll hold and release button to deploy gadget after deployment has started. The action cannot be canceled. But say you're messing up where you're placing your utility, like for example in ADS, you can literally just let go of the button and boom, you can retry to place it. Leaning behavior is alternate because this is how you lean without ADSing. I see a lot of people don't have this activated, and it kind of hurts my head. Heading over to controller rotation, I have that on classic. If you use update it is so awful. You will not hit your shots no matter what sensitivity you're on, unless you can figure out how to how to use it to your advantage, I found that it's awful. Now, my sensitivity is 2775. My dead zone is on 4 on my left stick. The reason being, I find that it's hard to slow walk on console, so having it at least a little bit up is great. I'm able to actually move slowly. Everything else is all personal preference once again. I do use advanced controller options. I've found that these settings have been very good with controlling recoil and tracking. It kind of slows your sense down a tiny bit, but it's consistent. And I want you guys that's on console to try this out and use my settings no matter what your sensitivity is. Use these controller settings and let me know how you find it. Because on TikTok, I did a video about this and everybody was saying that they were automatically better. So yeah. Heading over to accessibility, I personally use 40 opacity with red. The reason why is because usually with color opacities, you're going to want to have specific colors that won't blend in and will catch the eye. So for example, green is always great, red is always great. The reason being is because your eye reacts to red and green very well. And in terms of the opacity, the reason why I'm using such a low opacity is literally just because I will be able to see people without having my reticle in the way and my optic scope in the way. So I find that this is the most useful. Next, we're going to talk about screen shake. Turn this off, guys. I see people still using this like NFX. Like, stop being special, bro. Like, it's literally making you play worse. If you're wondering what controller I use a Scuff Instant controller. Kind of been dropping down in rank on console when I play because of this weird like crash glitch. So haven't really been able to play. Now, if you guys are struggling with your sensitivity in Siege, whether you're on PC or console, this is a good way to determine what's wrong with your sensitivity. Let's go right off the bat and explain with recoil control. So you have to go 10 meters or farther to get something like this down, because if you go up to a wall, your recoil control is going to be basically near perfect because you're not having to control it. But if you go at 10 meters, that's usually a good reference point because most of the gunfights you're going to be taking is going to be like this. So if your recoil is going up like this, then that means your sense is way too slow. That means that you're trying to control the recoil and it's popping up like, probably looks something like this. It's because your sense is too slow. But if it's going down like this, then your sense is way too fast. To change this, I would highly suggest going into your options, go into whatever your ADS sensitivity is, and if it's way too slow, then turn it up. You can try to turn it up by 10 intervals and try to get it to the point where you can control it. And it's not going to be perfect, but it's better than that and that. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to try to track this bot. Now, as you can see, my tracking is decent. It's not bad, it's not good, but it's decent. There's some points where I might be under, adjusting to their head, or I might be overcompensating. But overall, like, it's not bad. But if you're having trouble with your sensitivity, with tracking, where you're to the point where you're way before their head, then that means that your ADS sense is way too slow. And if you're going in front of their face like this, then it means your sense is too fast. Did you know that Osa is a direct counter to Aruni gates on door frames? When you place an Osa shield just like this, you take 0 damage and it burns the gate. Did you know as Solis, when it comes to an operator like Blitz or even someone that's Finka charged, you can see them. The weird thing about Blitz is you're able to see Blitz even if he's not using his utility. You're just able to see the electronics since, it is electronic. So this is just a cool tip. At the start of every single defensive round, you should be going up to barricades that have glass on it and shooting the glass out. And I'll show you in a second how many bullets it takes to shoot the glass off without damaging the barricade. The reason why is because if I'm, say, a zombie heading 90 and I'm already by this double door, I'm not going to hear the person repelling if the glass is not shut out. Even if I'm really close, the audio is very bad. Let's show the difference. Now let's show the difference when I actually shoot the glass out. 1, 2. Takes 2 bullets to shoot the glass out. See how much more audible this is for me? And the glass isn't even broken. So if the person wanted to get line of sight, they would have to punch it, shoot it, or do anything else. Did you guys know you can shoot all the default cams outside of the building at the start of the round? First one's right there in lobby. Second one is right outside here. Third one is right here. Fifth one is right here. Gets top square. Sixth one's out here on garage. If you go on this Repel, you can actually get the one on marble. And just like that, you can have every single default cam gone. Did you know if anybody runs out outside kitchen, you can actually wallbang them by this bullet hole on this wood right here? Goyo is one of my favorite operators on the defensive side, and I think he's highly underrated. If you place your Goyo canisters onto barricades or windows, it can actually be very disruptive for a lot of enemies. And for example, when they shoot down a barricade or a window, they're going to have a hard time trying to get in, and it's just going to waste a lot of time. So for example, if you're facing an Amaru or someone that's very aggressive that's just not going to drone, or even if like you need to hold a certain spot on the map and you want to delay time and just have information, you can place Goyo and watch what happens. They'll immediately go off and the person will freak out and you'll be able to kill them pretty easily. A good example of this trick is on console downstairs. There's some teams that just don't contest backside. So if your teammates do give up that control of backside, the least you can do is place Goyo canisters on the coffee door and on the blue construction door. The reason why you would do this is because, once again, it'll give you sound indication and it'll stop them from actually taking that map control. Because say they try to rush the backside, immediately they're just gonna fall back or rush through it and take so much damage. So if you wanted to make a barricade vaultable but not hittable, you can go up to the barricade, punch it once, and then punch the exact same spot on the buckle. And then what this does is this allows you to vault out. As you can see on screen, I get the vault prompt, but if I punch it, it's not gonna break. So it just makes it very easy for some quick runouts. You can also do this on windows, which can be super helpful late round if you just want to get a cheeky little run out. As you can tell, you punch this and then punch the bottom again, and then you can vault out. Besides that, did you guys know that on bank, there's actually 2 drone holes outside that can help you get on basement very quickly? This one right here is really good for Twitch drones, for the mirror, and just trying to get your drone around vault. But the second one is right over here for a server, and this is one that's very underutilized. It drops right down. So you can actually throw grenades, stun grenades, and Ying candelas through this, and you can actually roll it all the way into server. I've done this many times. It's very helpful. But if you want to deal with the pesky little drone holes with Mira, you can actually go Azami on basement site and throw an Azami barrier right here, and it will completely cover off that drone hole. On Villa, if you repel outside main road, you can actually go up on this vault prompt, and what you could do is you can actually walk all the way over to basically a 90 window and have this really weird offset angle, which any defender is going to have a hard time seeing what the hell you're doing. Did you know that Kapkan's EDDs, which is his primary gadget, makes noise? See that vibration noise that you're hearing? Yes, you're able to hear them. Now, say if you're an attacker and you're close to a door frame, you could basically play off the sound to let yourself know if there's a Kapkan there. Now, we all know this mirror on gym bedroom on Clubhouse. Did you know you can actually get rid of it in a very simple manner? Well, if you go downstairs in bar, you can actually make vertical and pop it. What's crazy about this is I never see this done. I usually just see people trying to get Twitch drones in that ends up getting mute jammered, or they just have to flip the push entirely. If you didn't know, most of the bathroom area is vertical play. The only safe place is honestly just the showers. Did you know while playing Iana, it's damn near impossible for the defender to see your head while upside down repel on especially Coastline? As you can tell, Iana's head is all white, so it's going to be super difficult for anybody to see you. Did you also know if you go up on the repel on bank on the north side ATMs, you can actually get a direct angle into janitor? As you can tell right here off the slit. When playing Echo on downstairs bank, you can throw one Echo Cam underneath this desk and another Echo Cam in red. And what you can do late round is when the person tries to go for a default plant, you could echo the person off the plant just from red hallway and just from underneath the desk. This is really good for just retake capability. And if you time it well with your teammates while they're swinging, you can deny the plant very easily. Also, when holding downstairs, don't reinforce these two walls. The reason why is because at the start of the round, you can make holes like this. And if anybody tries to go up and place a thermite charge, it's going to be super difficult for them to actually get in and get a plant down. It's just another way to make the attackers push into sight in uncomfortable angles, because a lot of times late round, they're not going to have Ash charge, Zofia's charges, Sledge, etc. And if they do, then you can just act off your Echo's intel and swing and kill them. It's also just not giving them protection, by the way, from these angles. When using Zofia, when you use her stuns, if you don't have a drone and you need to clear a room very quickly, you can pull your stuns and shoot it. And if it doesn't immediately go off in that vicinity, that means that nobody's in that area. But if somebody is in that area, it will immediately go off. Now, sadly, I can't show you because for some reason custom games aren't working, so it'll literally just pop right away. When using castle, there's something called 8 hitting. Now, what you want to do is go up to any castle barricade that you want to prep, and you literally just hit it 8 different times. Make sure you're counting it, and what this does is this allows you to basically prep the castle. Now, I just 8 hit, and say that I have a cam and I know that somebody's, in cigar shop close and I want to just swing or something, I can literally now just hit it and boom, I'll go right through it. This is super helpful. Another thing I noticed with site setup is a lot of people will reinforce this wall beside this head hole, and this is completely wrong. The reason why you're not going to want to do this head hole is because if you're trying to retake white, there's so many angles that they can hold now to just hold you from taking up white hall. And just because you're able to, be covered right here and then swing, this isn't a good angle. Because not only that, but while holding this, you can get shot from this white hallway window. So a lot of the times it's going to be nearly impossible to retake into piano. So instead, you're going to want to reinforce this where you usually make the head hole. And beside it, make the head hole right there. And I'm going to show you why in a second, why this is better. Now, say you have to give up piano control and you're pushing back and you literally are just playing sight now. You can now hold this wood stacks area and have an angle on the piano, or if anybody swings wide. This is going to be insanely difficult for the attackers to now try to take white hall, because they not only have to worry about the double door right here, they have to worry about if anybody's on this reinforcement, if somebody's on wood stacks, even if somebody's on the double door right here. So it's much harder and you're applying way more pressure. Also, if you want to be super weird, you can pop this hatch, and sometimes people run this wide and you can get a spawn kill on them. Now, this is very situational, but it is pretty effective when you actually get it done. Now, when holding kitchen, a lot of the times people will take vertical control, and a good vertical play to contest is right here for red stairs. You can even use this while holding upstairs, because a lot of people will rush bottom red and come up. So this angle is super strong on Kafe. Another angle that is super strong as well is if you go up here under new balcony, you can make holes for brown stairs. This can be useful on, let's be honest, any site on this map, but I wouldn't use this for upstairs since people will just pop this hatch and probably kill you, or they'll go to heaven balcony. Fuze is one of my favorite operators on attack, but sometimes it can be very difficult to take map control. Now, here's a good thing with Fuze. His range in his cluster charges are super good. So I'm going to show you, let's say I place a cluster charge crouched right there, and this is on the VIP wall for kitchen. Now, I'm going to go downstairs in kitchen, and let me show you the radius of the cluster charges. So what you guys are seeing right there are explosives going right to left. And you probably think that this would destroy literally nothing that's around site. So if you place a cluster charge there, you can destroy everything that's on this site window and maybe some utility that might be on the rotation. So a lot of people don't know how cluster charges get placed. So notice how I'm facing this west-east direction. So the cluster charge is actually going to go right to left. And that's just how cluster charges are placed. And some of you guys might not think this is useful, but just knowing how it's placed does matter. Because look, it detonates right to left. So those few seconds can really be the cause of whether you get a kill or you don't. Because if you hear a cluster charge and you're on a cam and you get off, you have minimal seconds to run away. But let's say that the person was right here, then they will know that they're good to run away. It's all about knowing how to pinch your enemies. So let's say I flip it and I place it this way. It's going to go right to left. Huge. I don't know how useful this is to you guys, but you can repel up. This most skylights you can repel up, just so you know. A lot of people sometimes just forget this. Also, this should be pretty obvious though, but I see a lot of people using smoke grenades a lot wrong. If you're going to go for a plant, let's say on this door frame of kitchen, where would you smoke? Are you A, gonna throw it into yourself so you can plant in the smoke? B, are you going to smoke out their cover or their line of sight? What are you gonna do? Seriously, answer down below. Well, if you answered smoke yourself out, that's a very situational answer, because if you smoke yourself out, then what's gonna happen? Any of your teammates that's there to cover you, they're not gonna be able to watch anything because they're not warden or glass. Now, say you have a glass, smoking yourself out wouldn't be bad there, but majority of the times you want to smoke off their angles where they can shoot. So let's say I want to smoke off the bomb angle or the kitchen shelf air angle. I'm gonna throw it right there. It cuts off their rotation. I do have to worry about kitchen window, and the only way that they are going to be able to kill me is if they swing wide, and that just makes it super hard. But then you can plant right there, and then your teammate can actually hold you. So just be aware of what the situation prevails, and you can use your smokes to cut off so many lines of sight. But did you guys know that you can place candelas just like fuse charges on barricades, floors, everything that's not a hard wall? Now what you're going to want to do is go up, get this animation, and then you place it, and then you can walk down Cool Vibes, for example, and Ying them out. You can get some really good team comp going on with this, as long as you time it properly with your teammates, or you can even use Fuze and Ying at the same time. Now, if you guys found this video useful, let me know by commenting down below, and let me know which specific tip that you didn't know, and let me know some things I might have missed. Besides that, guys, if you found this video useful, it would mean the world if you drop a like, sub, and comment. Besides that, you guys have a great day, and thank you so much for watching.